What if I told you that every Good Friday, while the world sleeps, laughs, or is distracted, angels kneel in silence and the heart of God bleeds for the humanity? It's not a metaphor. It's not an exaggeration. It's a truth that very few are willing to face. Good Friday is not a simple holiday, not one more date in a calendar. It is the day in which the darling was left without words, and the hell celebrated believing that he had won. While many see it as a break, a work break, or an excuse to go on a trip, someone else, in it invisible, is crying. That someone is Christ, still hanging in the cross of millions of hearts that have forgotten their sacrifice. And beside him, a friar with bleeding stigmata, serene face and soul burning with pain, Padre Pio. Padre Pio was not alive, Good Friday, as a spectator. It inhabited it, was breathing, was bleeding. And it was he who, with words simple but full of fire, warned us about serious errors that the most Catholics commit in that holy day, many times without know it. Errors that not only sadden heaven, but also close it. The doors to the grace. Attitudes that seem harmless, but that distance us of the deepest meaning of the faith, accompany Christ in his darkest hour. This video is not a trial, it is a call, an urgent call to look at the cross and decide whether we will continue to ignore it or finally kneel before it with the naked soul. Today, you will discover the 7 mistakes that offend the heart of Christ in Good Friday. The supernatural link between Padre Pio and the Passion, and the 7 concrete steps to transform this day in a living experience of redemption. Get ready, because if you listen with the heart open, this could be the truest Good Friday of your life. Some it celebrate with roast meat, others they take it as an excuse to sleep in, watch TV shows, or go for a walk. Most it see as a simple day off. But what if the heaven would not consider it so? Padre Pio said that the Good Friday was a day the one that until the creation seems to contain he breath. Because this is not just any holiday, but the most painful and most sacred day of the calendar Christian. The Bible tells that while Jesus was dying in the cross, the sun was darkened, the land trembled, and the veil of the temple was torn. Nature same responded to the pain of the Redeemer, and yet, centuries after, the men are silent. Or worse, they are distracted. Where are you and I, while Christ is in the cross? That is the silent drama of the Good Friday. Millions of people, even believers, celebrate it live as an indifferent spectator. They attend a ceremony out of obligation. Perhaps they pray in a mechanics, but their hearts are not there. They don't feel the weight of the nails, the burning of vinegar, nor the abandonment of the Father. Padre Pio, on the other hand, spiritually united himself to the Passion every year. Not with words, but with crying, not with empty gestures, but with wounds that were bleeding. I understood that this day was not for rest, but for contemplation. It was not for him leisure, but for the repair. Good Friday is a door open to the mystery of the redemption, and those who the cross with reverence, they enter in a sacred ground where the soul can be healed, purified, and renewed. But that door does not open with comfort. It opens silently with recollection, with a heart willing to suffer even a little with he who suffered everything for us. So ask yourself today, are you living this day as a spiritual tourist or as a true disciple at the foot of the cross? Mistake 1, frivolity. There are those who, even knowing what it means, Good Friday, they live with lightness. They laugh, make mundane plans, listen to loud music, as if the death of God was just a symbolic, distant, decorative story. But for Padre Pio, this day was as real as his own flesh torn. He said, frivolity in Passion Day is like spitting on the face of Christ as he agonizes for you. When one behaves as if nothing is happening, the sky shakes, not because let us be evil, but because we forget. Mistake 2, not fasting, neither refrain. Many Catholics, even practicing ones, ignore or relativize fasting. God does not want us to pass hunger, they say, but what the Mister wants is ours humble heart, willing to sacrifice something for love. Padre Pio lived he fast, not as an ecclesiastical norm, but as an act of profound communion. His stomach emptiness was an echo of the hunger for Christ in a desert and in the cross. To fast is to say, your sacrifice is so important to me that I want to give up something. Mistake 3. Ignoring the liturgy. Good Friday is the only day of the year where no Mass is celebrated. There is no consecration. There is no glory. Just a bare altar, a church in silence, and a cross in the center. Many don't. They know, and they do not participate in the liturgy of the Passion. But Padre Pio considered this liturgy as a spiritual repetition of the Calvary. Missing her, he said, is like being absent of Golgotha while your Savior gives his life. Mistake 4. Not confessing. One of the most serious errors, according to Padre Pio. He claimed that participating in Good Friday without have been confessed is like presenting yourself before Christ crucified with the dirty soul. It's as if, instead of comforting him, we were charging other whip to whip him again. Confession is not a cold ritual. It is a hug of the Father. It is a bathroom of the soul, and on this day more than ever, we should reach the foot of the cross with a heart clean and open. Mistake 5. Noise and distraction. We live in an age of screens, notifications, constant noise, but the Good Friday asks it opposite, silence, and not just an external silence, but an internal one. Padre Pio recommended turning off the radio and avoiding conversations unnecessary. Limit the use of the word, because God does not shout, God whispers, and only in the silence we can hear his voice. Mistake 6. Treating the cross as an ornament. Many, they carry crucifixes as jewelry, without conscience. They hang a cross in their homes, but they don't live under its shadow. The cross is not a decoration. It is a symbol of spiritual warfare, of extreme love, of salvation. Bloody Padre Pio, he contemplated like a soldier looks at his flag, with respect, with fear, with fire in the soul. Mistake 7. Praying mechanically. Maybe the most common of all. We repeat sentences as if they were empty phrases, without heart, without tears, without connection. But Padre Pio warned, a single sincere tear offered from the soul is worth more than 1,000 rosaries. Empty. Praying is not repeating, it is entering into heart of Christ. It is walking with toward Calvary. It is to say to him, I am here, you are not alone. Imagine for a moment what it means to feel the nails in hands. Without nails visible, feel the side burning, the feet throbbing with pain, the torn heart. And all this, not because of a medical injury, but because of a mystical union with the crucified Christ. That Padre Pio lived every Good Friday. Unlike the majority who attend the liturgy as external spectators, he revived the Passion in his body and in his soul. His stigmata, which already they all bled days, they opened with elderly intensity on this date. His room, it smelled of blood, incense, and silence. The brothers from the convent in San Giovanni Rotondo reported that the Good Friday, Padre Pio could not get out of bed. His face, he was pale, his eyes tearful, and his body was shaking as if he were being crucified in that same instant. Didn't talk. He didn't eat. He didn't complain. Just muttering in a low voice, Jesus, don't leave me alone. Give me strength to accompany you to the end. And in that silence accompanied the Virgin Maria. She identified herself with the sorrowful mother, who remained standing while the Son was dying in the cross, not as a common priest, but as someone who was there, in half of Golgotha, next to blood and the nails. For Padre Pio, the Passion was not a story of the past. It was an eternal, current, living reality. And the Good Friday was the time when the soul could truly enter into that mystery, if I had the courage to do so. It wasn't spectacle, it was sacrifice. It wasn't tradition, it was transformation. And the great question that leaves us his example is this: are we willing to live the cross, or do we just want to admire it from afar? There is a language that doesn't use words, a language that doesn't need shouting or explanations, nor arguments. A language that only the humble understand. That language is the silence. Good Friday, more than any other day, is the sacred moment where God speaks softly to the heart. But how listen to it if we live surrounded by noise? Outside noise, TVs on, constant notifications, conversations empty. Inner noise, worries, anxiety, judgments, thoughts that never stop. Padre Pio understood that the soul needs silence, like the body needs air. That's why, on this day, I recommended turning off the radio, avoiding calls, reducing the words to a minimum, and let the spirit breathe. It is not an empty silence. It is a silence full of presence. Because when you are silent, God begins to speak. Many, they say they don't listen the voice of God, but the problem isn't that he doesn't speak. The problem is that we don't stop to listen. In Good Friday, the heaven doesn't scream, it whispers. And that whisper can change your life. If you have the courage to stop and open the heart, beam the proof, stay 10 minutes in total silence in front of a crucifix, without praying with words, just looking, just feeling, just being. And you'll see that silence isn't absence, it's encounter. As Padre Pio said, silence is the abode of the saints, and it is there that the soul finds itself face to face with your God. When we listen the word fasting, many they think in a simple ecclesiastical rule, a norm, a penance, a renunciation forced. But Padre Pio I saw with others' eyes. For him, the fasting was a language that the soul uses to tell God, I love you more than myself same. Good Friday is not the time to indulge his body, it's time to offer it. To feel, even in a minimal way, the hunger that Christ felt. Not for bread, but for souls. And a spiritual diet. It's about mystical solidarity. If you give up a meal, you are saying, Lord, today I do not come to receive, I come to offer, I come to unite my little one's sacrifice to yours, even if it is as insignificant as my appetite. Fasting not only cleanses the body, wake up the soul, and it is also an act of humility, because we recognize that we are not the owners of everything, that we need everything, that we can live with less if that brings us closer to heaven. The Church, with wisdom millennial, reminds us that the fast of the Good Friday includes one big meal and 2 small ones. But beyond the quantities, the true fasting is the of the heart. Fast from pride, judgment, selfishness, distractions. Father Pio, many sometimes, it weakened physically from his fasts, but he said firmly, 1 soul saved is worth more than 1 soul sacrifice, than 1,000 words empty without delivery. Fasting on this day is not punishment, it is communion. It is love translated in act. It is to let the hunger of the body becomes in a silent prayer that rises to heaven. In life, there are opportunities that come only once a year, and some maybe only once in a while. Life, Good Friday, is one of them, and attending the liturgy of the Passion is not just a religious act, it is a divine invitation to be at the foot of the cross. No Mass is celebrated that day. There is no consecration. The Church remains sober, naked, silent, because everything is centered on the cross. Padre Pio considered that missing this liturgy for convenience, distraction, or carelessness was like giving it away. The back on Christ fair when he looks at you one last time before he dies. He said, in that moment, the blood of Christ falls also upon you, not as condemnation, but as redemption, but only if you are there to receive it. During the liturgy, it is proclaimed the Passion according to St. John. It is adored the cross. Communion is received with previously consecrated forms. It is a sober, profound, disconcerting moment, but also transformer. And there is something else that Padre Pio considered essential, the confession. Confess before the Good Friday or during the Triduum. It's not a secondary option. It's the only way to reach Calvary. with the soul is cleansed. It's like washing the soul's feet before entering the sanctuary of the pain and the redemption. Participate in the passion without confession is like looking at Christ nailed with his hardened heart. It is being physically present, but spiritually absent. Confession is not just repentance, it is a declaration of love, a saying to Jesus, I don't want your blood to be shed in my life, in vain for me. I come to return you the soul, just as you gave me back life. Many feel shame or fear, but Padre Pio would confess for hours with patience and compassion, and he repeated a phrase that still resounds like a bell in the soul. God forgives always, man sometimes, nature never. So if there is a day to start over, is this: do not present yourself before the cross with empty-handed. Take it to him a repentant soul, and he will give you a heart new. Good Friday is not meant to be understood. It is meant to be lived, the naked soul, with the heart open, with the courage of those who dare to look at the cross and say, Lord, today I want to be with you, not as a spectator, but as a faithful disciple. After all we've seen, the errors, the experience of Padre Pio, the silence, the fasting, liturgy, the confession, it's time to act. Here have 7 steps inspired by Padre Pio himself to live this day like never before. 1. Wake up early to pray. Starts he day kneeling, even if it is with dream, even if it costs you. The first word of the day, it should be thank you. And the second, I am with you, Jesus. 2. Fast from food, but also from noise. Avoid social media. Don't turn on the television. May your fast be total, body, mind, and spirit. Make of silence your companion. 3. Participate in the Via Cross. Do it in your parish or at home. Go through each station with a heart. Imagine Christ falling, rising, forgiving, and put yourself also in that path. 4. Go to confession, even if it is the previous day. Don't wait to be perfect, just go. Padre Pio said that every confession is a resurrection. Small. 5. Meditate on the Passion. Read the Gospels. Look at an image of the crucified one and stay in silence. Let the suffering of Christ speaks to you without words. 6. Keep silent from 12 class to 15 learn. Are the hours of the crucifixion. Turn everything off. Close the eyes and tell God, here I am under your cross. 7. Pray the Chaplet of Divine Mercy at 3 p.m. It's the exact time in which Jesus handed over his spirit. Elevate that prayer as incense, trusting that his blood was not in vain. Beam this, and I assure you that you will not live other Good Fridays the same. Your soul will feel something different, a peace that never comes of the world, a light that is born of the pain, but that ends in victory. Padre Pio was not looking for impress. I just wanted souls to be saved. That no one waste the love that was nailed to a cross. And now it's your turn. That error of the 7 you had committed without give you account, write it down in the comments, not out of guilt, but out of conversion. Share this video with someone you love, someone who needs to remember what this day means. And if this message touched your soul, subscribe, activate the bell, and join us in this mission to awaken sleeping souls before the greatest mystery of the history. Because the darling go on silently, waiting for you to decide to respond.